Imagine a world without grocery stores, without farms, without even a garden in your backyard. For hundreds of thousands of years, this was reality. Humanity was a wanderer, a nomad, constantly moving, following the herds, chasing the seasons, all for one simple reason: to find the next meal. Every day was a battle for survival, a relentless search for berries, roots, and the elusive hunt. Life was dictated by the raw, untamed rhythm of nature. A good day meant a full belly. A bad day meant hunger gnawing at you, a constant, unwelcome companion. This was the life of our ancestors, a life lived on the edge, one footstep at a time. But then, something shifted. A moment so small, it could have been missed entirely. Picture this: a small band of hunter-gatherers, resting at a temporary camp. A woman, perhaps, sorting through a pouch of gathered seeds and nuts. A few seeds slip from her hand, falling unnoticed into the disturbed earth. Weeks later, returning to the same spot, they see something miraculous. Tiny green shoots, pushing their way toward the sun, exactly where those seeds had fallen. An accident. A gift from the spirits. Or something more. This wasn't just a plant. It was an idea, a revolutionary spark in the mind of early man. A seed slipped from a hand. And from that single, accidental moment, civilization itself began to grow. This wasn't a discovery made in a flash of genius. It was a slow, dawning realization, a puzzle pieced together over generations. Our ancestors began to observe, to connect the dots. They noticed that the discarded seeds from their meals, the ones tossed aside near their camps, where the ground was fertile with waste, often sprouted into familiar, edible plants. It was a pattern, a secret whispered by the earth itself. They started to see that where they lived, life followed. The seeds they dropped weren't just lost, they were planted. This simple observation was the first step away from a life of constant wandering. It was the moment we stopped just taking from the earth and started considering how to partner with it. From observation came a bold new step: experimentation. Instead of leaving it to chance, what if they did it on purpose? Imagine the scene. A person, crouched by a riverbank, carefully pushing a single, precious seed into the soft, damp soil. It was an act of faith, a gamble against the unknown. They chose the best spots near reliable water sources, in sun-drenched clearings. It was no longer about chasing life, it was about creating it, right where they stood. They were no longer just foragers, they were becoming something new. Gardeners, cultivators, they were learning the language of the soil, the sun, and the water, trying to coax life from the ground with their own two hands. But the earth is not an easy teacher. The path to mastery was paved with failure. The first intentional crops were a harsh lesson in humility. A sudden drought would wither their precious sprouts to dust. A swarm of insects could devour a season's hard work in a single night. A late frost, an unexpected flood, nature had 1,000 ways to say no. These failures were heartbreaking. They meant hunger, they meant hardship, and they tested the resolve of these early farmers. But with every failure came a crucial lesson. They learned that a seed needs more than just soil. It needs care, it needs patience, it needs an understanding of the world around it. They learned to watch the skies, to read the signs of the seasons, and to protect their fragile creations from a world that was still very wild. Through this cycle of trial, error, and relentless persistence, mastery was finally achieved. Our ancestors cracked the code of agriculture. They learned to identify the best soils. They developed a deep, intimate knowledge of the seasons, knowing exactly when to plant and when to harvest. They figured out which plants grew best and how to save the seeds from the strongest ones to ensure a better crop next year. This wasn't just planting anymore, this was farming. It was a system, a technology of life. With this newfound power, the constant threat of starvation began to recede. For the first time, humans could produce a surplus of food, more than they needed for just one day. This surplus was the key that would unlock the future. It was the foundation upon which everything we know would be built. With a reliable food source, the eternal wandering could finally end. Why move when the food was growing right outside your door? People began to build more permanent shelters, small collections of huts that weren't just temporary camps, but homes. These small settlements were the seeds of the first villages. Life became more predictable, more secure. This stability allowed for something extraordinary: specialization. Not everyone had to spend their entire day searching for food. Some could become better toolmakers, others could weave baskets or create pottery to store the grain. Culture began to flourish. Art, religion, and social structures grew more complex in the fertile ground of these new communities. The farmer, tied to the land, became the anchor of a new way of life. The birth of agriculture was more than just a new way to get food. It fundamentally rewired human society. The concept of ownership was born. This is my land. These are my crops. With ownership came the need for rules, for cooperation, and, inevitably, for conflict. Populations boomed. A small band of 50 hunter-gatherers could now grow into a village of hundreds, and eventually, a city of thousands. This population density created new challenges and new opportunities, accelerating the pace of innovation. The farmer's simple act of planting a seed led directly to the rise of chieftains, priests, soldiers, and kings. It created the complex social hierarchies that would define civilizations for millennia to come. Our world, with its bustling cities and intricate societies, is the direct descendant of that first planted seed. So, let's step back and appreciate the profound legacy of this Stone Age revolution. It wasn't about a single invention, but a change in mindset from chasing to cultivating, from reacting to creating. It was the moment we began to shape the planet to our will, for better and for worse. The day humans learned to plant, they did more than just secure their next meal. They planted roots, not just for their crops, but for themselves. The earth, which had only known their fleeting footprints, began to remember them through the scars of their fields and the foundations of their homes. This incredible leap set the stage for the next chapter in our story. With farms growing and tribes settling down, humanity was on the verge of its next great creation, the permanent village. How did these clusters of huts evolve into organized towns? What new challenges and innovations did community living bring? That's the story for our next discovery. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story of our ancient past as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss what happens next. We'll see you in the next one.